You're here because the jury
when I was talking.
convicted you of brutally your wife.
Interrupting me while I'm talking. I don't interrupt you, so why do you keep interrupting me? I know you're the judge, but
Okay, hear me out. I've heard enough of this narcissistic. You're a narcissist, and I'm not going to put this family
like you're a
again.
narcissist because you're talking and you're going all.
The man you see here in handcuffs, exchanging words with a judge, is Adam Banfield, a 45-year-old husband who not only forced a woman to marry him, but also strategically planned and killed her after she dared to expose this violent truth. On the morning of October 5th, 2022, 30-year-old Kiara Hudson woke up to begin her day like any other, getting her children ready for school. But this day, she would do something no mother should ever have to. She strapped on a bulletproof vest, a desperate attempt to protect herself from the violence that had shadowed her life. Little did she know, that vest wouldn't save her. Just hours later, chaos erupted on Richland Avenue. Police responded to a horrific crash, but what they found at the scene was beyond anything they could have imagined. Two vehicles were involved in a collision, and a school bus filled with children sat nearby, screaming in terror. In the driver's seat of one of the cars, Kiara lay lifeless, her body riddled with bullets. But what made this crime even more disturbing was the fact that her 3 young children had witnessed their father murder their mother. And the children on that school bus, they too saw the entire horror unfold before their eyes. But this wasn't Adam's first attempt to end Kiara's life. Just days before, she had exposed the truth about him on social media, and Adam, hell-bent on revenge, would stop at nothing to silence her. But before we get to that bone-chilling Facebook video that exposed the truth, let me take you back to where this tragedy all began. Kiara Hudson was born in 1992 in the quiet town of Cheektowaga, New York, but her life was anything but calm. A 30-year-old mother of 3, Kiara was a woman determined to break the generational cycle of abuse that had plagued her family. With an unshakable resolve, she worked tirelessly to provide a better future for her children, hoping to offer them a life free from the pain she had known. Her social media presence was filled with glimpses of her ongoing battle for love, safety, and happiness, images of a mother struggling, yet hopeful, for the next chapter. Her family described her as loving and incredibly determined. She was the glue that held them together, always there with a kind word or a helping hand. Despite the struggles, Kiara was dedicated to her children, providing a sense of stability for them. But looking at her social media, you could also see someone deeply impacted by loss. Kiara had already buried one of her children, a little boy she called her Big Boy, and the grief of that loss remained with her as she raised her 3 other children. In April 2022, Kiara's social media posts painted a portrait of a woman who had raised herself in many ways. She had survived her own turbulent childhood, and now, as an adult, she was determined to give her children something she never had: security, love, and the chance to break free from the past. She shared the highs and lows of her motherhood journey, showing both her resilience and vulnerability. But behind the facade of a woman seeking happiness, Kiara was also searching for love. A love that she longed for, someone who would cherish her and prioritize her well-being. Tragically, this longing would ultimately lead her down a dangerous path that would cost her everything. In 2021, Kiara met 45-year-old Adam Banfield. What began as a seemingly innocent connection quickly turned into something more intense.
No, I realized that when you're trying to make progress and you're going up the ladder in life, the ladder of life, that you're going to have people who are your enemies, people who are your friends, and the people that are your friends, they're going to stand by you. But your enemies, they're useful too because they'll show you where you fall short. And then you just got the general haters and the people that are very envious of what you have or what you're going to get, or even this little gray hair right here, and the dry hand from working. But you got to remember that you got to continue on your path regardless of anything. You may have other priorities. So we all have our goals, we all have our world, and we all have our focus. And if you don't have that many friends because of that, that's unfortunate.
By March 2021, she had already changed her relationship status on social media to engaged to Adam Benfield. Their whirlwind romance seemed to be everything Kiara had hoped for.
1, 2, 3.
He can lift me. Of course I can. He can lift me.
You on my seat.
Right, move before you drop me.
Yay! 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 Chuckle! Chuckle! Yay!
You should be okay with that.
Yay! Yay! Yes!
Adam appeared to be the man who would provide the love and stability Kiara so desperately wanted for herself and her children. But those close to Kiara started noticing red flags. On February 22nd, Kiara was posting wedding photos, reflecting on the day she thought would mark the beginning of her happily ever after. At the time, those words were filled with optimism, a woman in love with the life she envisioned. But reading them now, knowing how the story would unfold, they carry a tragic weight. You can almost hear the silent tension between what she hoped her marriage would be and the harsh reality she would soon face. But there were people who were not in support of the union from the beginning. Kiara's family was quick to sense that Adam might not be the man he presented himself to be. What makes this even more heartbreaking is the fact that Kiara's family had serious reservations about this marriage from the start. They tried to warn her, to point out the red flags she either missed or chose to ignore. But like so many women trapped in abusive relationships, Kiara believed that love could change him, that she could make it work. She wanted to believe in the fairy tale, but in the end, love couldn't save her from the nightmares she had married. On September 28, 2022, everything escalated into something no one could ignore. Court records show that there had been multiple incidents of abuse leading up to the one that would finally be documented. What happened next was caught on the home surveillance camera. Kiara herself would post this video to Facebook just hours later. That evening, Adam returned home to their residence on Barber Place in a blind rage. The footage, chilling and raw, shows Adam attacking Kiara with an alarming level of violence. He punched her repeatedly, threw her to the ground, and continued to assault her even as she tried to defend herself. At first, you'd think she'd gone unconscious, but she would later admit she had played dead, hoping that it would somehow save her life. To which it did, but that would not be for long. The following day, Kiara shared the haunting 7-minute video on Facebook with a bold and painful caption. You see, what many didn't know at the time was this wasn't Adam's first rodeo with the law. His violent past stretched far beyond the occasional outburst. His history read like a dark warning sign of the danger he would eventually pose. Adam's criminal record spanned over 20 years, and it's clear now that his violent tendencies were a ticking bomb just waiting to explode.
The reason for all this is because I want to get some help. The doctors refused to give me any help. As you see, I slipped my wrist, and I just wanted to get some help. Nobody wanted to help me.
That is Adam Benefield speaking with reporters in 2000. At the time, he was 22. He'd escaped from the Erie County Correctional Facility in Alden by scaling a wall. Police eventually captured him in a friend's home. Benefield served close to 15 years in prison for escape and kidnapping when he forced an ex-girlfriend to drive a point. Every time he spoke, it was about his mental health.
They knew that I got problems and they just don't want to help. They ignore all my requests. They start ignoring me at the jail.
That was 22 years ago.
In March 2000, at the age of 22, he committed an act that would haunt his future. Armed with a stun gun, he kidnapped his then pregnant ex-girlfriend and another woman on the Kensington Expressway. He forced them into his car at gunpoint, then led police on a high-speed chase. The terrifying ordeal took a horrific turn when one of the women, fearing for her life, jumped from the moving vehicle, suffering serious injuries. But this was just the beginning of a long pattern of dangerous behavior. And Adam's story wouldn't end there. While awaiting trial for kidnapping, he made a bold and reckless escape from the Erie County Correctional Facility. Climbing over a 15-foot wall topped with razor wire, he evaded authorities for 19 hours. When police finally caught up with him, he was holed up at a friend's house, having cut his wrists and threatened to blow up the building. Adam later claimed that his desperate actions were the result of seeking help, as he believed doctors had refused him the care he needed. Adam was later sentenced to serve 15 years for his crimes, but when he was released in 2015, he walked back into society a free man. By 2017, his parole ended, and just a few years later, he met and married Kiara Hudson. For someone with such a violent history, his freedom was a dangerous gift, and tragically, it was only a matter of time before that darkness crept into Kiara's life, shattering her family in ways they never saw coming. After Adam's attack on Kiara, police arrived on the scene, but before Adam would lock himself in the bathroom. Officers managed to extract him, and he was taken to the Erie County Medical Center for medical and psychological evaluations. Initially, the authorities filed a warrant for his arrest, but only charged him with harassment. You may wonder why. Well, here's where it gets interesting. When police first arrived, Kiara didn't disclose the full extent of the abuse. She hadn't shown them the video. At that point, she was still protecting him, still minimizing the violence she had endured, a typical response from victims of domestic abuse.
Unboxing. Now we have the stroller here. Now let's see how to maneuver it. You got some clips on the side so that you'll be able to flip it, I guess. Maybe. Let's see. That's just for release. Alright, the ones in the middle, you can turn like this.
What?
So you can turn like this. There we go. And we're unboxing this thing here. So, watch it. No, excuse me. I'm doing a video live. I'm on live. Yeah, I'll be done in a minute. This goes like this. Goes like this. Got a nice unboxing here of the video here. And we're almost complete with this video here. We're just going to go here a little bit more. Stay over there, please. I'm doing a
Video. I can't be in the video.
Huh?
I can't be in the video.
Sure, it can be in a video. You can be in a video too, right?
I
That's
know
the family. See, the family loves me. We get, look at that. So now we have the stroller complete. That is unboxing of it.
It wasn't until October 2nd that Kiara finally showed the police the full video. That's when they realized this was not just another domestic dispute. This was brutal. After detectives had reviewed the evidence, the charges against Adam were upgraded to include assault, criminal mischief, menacing, unlawful imprisonment, and harassment. Adam turned himself in 2 days later. However, this was the beginning of the system failing Kiara in ways that would leave her vulnerable. Despite all the evidence, despite Adam's lengthy criminal history, and despite the domestic violence advocate who had been working with Kiara made sure the district attorney understood the danger Adam posed, all the charges would be classified as misdemeanors. The New York's bail reform laws tied the judge's hands. He had no choice but to release Adam on his own recognizance. The advocate had no choice than to insist on a protective order, but it was clear that even with all the evidence, the system wasn't built to protect her. She would take to her Facebook page to share her displeasure. Once Adam was released, the advocate immediately contacted Kiara to let her know he was free, and together they developed a safety plan. The advocate helped Kiera find safe housing options, but Kiera would make a decision that may just have cost her life. She chose to stay at her mother's house instead. This was a decision that would have tragic consequences because Adam knew exactly where Kiera and her mother lived, and he would come in search of not only revenge, but to finish what he had started. October 5th, 2022 began like any other day for Kiera. She woke up at her mother's house, as she had been staying there out of fear for her life, and Kiera knew she needed to protect her children at all costs. But there was a terrifying reality, something no mother should ever have to do. Kiera had even started wearing a bulletproof vest. She posted about it on social media, expressing that it was her last-ditch attempt at staying safe. But no one could have known that just hours later, her worst fear would come true. At around 8:30 a.m., Kiera set off on what should have been a routine drive to drop her children off at school. Her youngest was just 5 months old, strapped safely in his car seat, while her 4-year-old and 9-year-old were also secured in the vehicle. But as Kiera drove down Richland Avenue near her mother's house, Adam Benfield was waiting for her. Adam, determined to end Kiera's life, crashed his vehicle head-on into hers. The collision was so violent that parts of his vehicle flew off, a sign of the rage that was about to unfold. As a school bus pulled up alongside the scene, children inside witnessed the horrific act that would scar them for life. Tragically, Kiera's bulletproof vest wasn't going to protect her from Adam. Adam, armed with a shotgun, exited his vehicle. He approached Kiera's SUV, walked to the driver's side, and shot her multiple times in the head, while her children screamed in terror just inches away. The 9-year-old daughter later testified, tearfully recounting how she watched her stepfather murder her mother in cold blood. In the aftermath, witnesses heard the children crying in distress. One of the children even said, "Daddy did it." The trauma of that moment is unimaginable. The children had just witnessed their mother's brutal murder, an act that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. After the shooting, Adam fled the scene in his vehicle, driving the wrong way on Route 33 in a frantic attempt to escape. An officer attempted to pursue him, but lost track of him in the busy traffic. Meanwhile, the children were rescued from the SUV, but the damage had already been done. Kiera was already dead, and her children's lives had been shattered forever. A reward of $7,500 was issued for information leading to Adam's capture, as they warned the public that he was armed and dangerous. For over a week, Adam remained on the run, hiding from the authorities and seemingly out of reach. But not for so long. On October 13th, 2022, he would be found. The arrest was as bizarre as the circumstances surrounding the crime. Adam was found riding a pink bicycle near St. Luke's Hospital, which seemed almost absurd considering the heinous crime he had committed just days before. He was arrested without incident and taken into custody.
We begin tonight at 6 with the new developments in the case of a man accused of killing his wife. And after spending a week on the run, that man is in police custody tonight. Good evening, I'm Mary Alice Demler.
Hello again, I'm Scott Levin. 45-year-old Adam Benefield of Cheektowaga was arrested this afternoon and has already been arraigned on 1 count of murder and 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Benefield is accused of shooting and killing his wife, 40-year-old Kiera Benefield, last Wednesday morning while she was inside her car with their kids on Rich Lawn Avenue. Today, Buffalo police say that it was a tip that led to the coordinated effort to bring him into custody.
This was a nonstop effort by our homicide squad, by officers within the district that were constantly keeping an eye out. But our community members are the eyes and ears of everything that happens in the community. So we are very grateful for that participation, that assistance with the community.
So for those living in the neighborhood, it was a big relief to have this wanted man off the streets.
And our Claudine Ewing spoke with residents and witnesses just after the arrest was made today. She joins us now live outside Buffalo Police Headquarters with that part of the story. Claudine?
Scott and Mary Alice, it was quite a scene today on Bissell Avenue when he was actually taken into police custody. In fact, neighbors on the street were cheering. But now Adam Benefield, as you mentioned, he's 45 years old. He has a charge to now deal with. Take a look at the video that we received today. This is video of him in police custody after one eyewitness saw Police tackle him in the field. He didn't resist arrest because he was surrounded by officers. Some people saw him just around the corner from where he was captured at a shelter getting food just yesterday. Now, last week, 1 week ago today, his estranged wife, Kiera, was shot and in a car in front of her children on Richlawn and Shawnee in Buffalo. This was just a day after Cheektowaga police let him out of jail for a domestic violence incident. For 1 week, he's been on the run, but that ended today.
Just yesterday, y'all thought he was in Atlanta or Oregon. I'm watching the news. So there you go. Think smart, think swift. Because the Coco Chanel mask was what was the giveaway. You have on a female mask, you're a man. And then it was the eye contact, the way that he was looking at me. So I called the police last night.
And police now have him, and he will be closely watched since he escaped from the jail in Alden about 15 years ago or so. And so once again, once he goes before the judge, if he is convicted, he faces 25 years to life in prison. Outside of Buffalo Police Headquarters, Claudine Ewing, Channel 2 News.
Despite Adam's long history of violence and criminal behavior, Adam was now in police custody and facing charges of second-degree murder, 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child, and aggravated criminal contempt for violating an order of protection. But even as he faced these charges, Adam showed no remorse. He remained cold and detached from the consequences of his actions, giving a glimpse into the depths of his lack of accountability for the violence he had inflicted on his wife and children. Kiera's family and the public were outraged by how the system had allowed a man with such a violent history to be released and given the opportunity to kill again. The fact that Kiera had made several attempts to seek protection, including posting the video of the abuse, only to see Adam freed due to legal loopholes and bail reform laws, added fuel to the fire. But Adam's drama was far from over. His trial began in 2024, nearly 2 years after Kiera Hudson's tragic murder. By now, the case had become a symbol for the failings of the legal and justice systems when it comes to protecting victims of domestic violence. Kiera's family, friends, and community members eagerly awaited the trial, hoping for justice for the woman they loved and for the children left without a mother. During the trial, the details of the murder were laid bare for the jury. Kiera's now 12-year-old daughter took the stand, her testimony heartbreaking as she recounted watching her stepfather, Adam Benfield, murder her mother in cold blood. The courtroom was gripped with emotion as the young girl bravely spoke about the terror she had experienced, recalling the chilling moment her mother was killed by her stepfather in front of her and her younger siblings. The prosecution presented the evidence, including the video footage that Kiera had posted of Adam violently attacking her just days before her death. Kiera's social media posts and her desperate attempts to get help were also included in the trial. The prosecution argued that Adam had planned the murder, stalking Kiera and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They pointed to the fact that he had crashed his vehicle into Kiera's SUV, intentionally causing a violent crash, before getting out and shooting her while her children were mere inches away. The callousness of his actions left no doubt in the minds of the jury that this was not just a spontaneous act of violence, but a premeditated and deliberate murder. The defense, however, attempted to argue this. They claimed Adam's violent actions were somehow the result of a mental breakdown or emotional distress. They painted him as a man who had been suffering for years, trying to deal with his own demons. But the prosecution and the victims' families weren't buying it. They reminded the court that Adam had a long history of violence, including a prior conviction for kidnapping and assault, and had been given numerous opportunities to rehabilitate. Yet his history of abuse continued, and he ultimately took the life of the woman who had tried to break free of the cycle of violence. As the trial continued, Kiera's family grew increasingly emotional, but they remained resolute. They knew that this trial was not just about getting justice for Kiera. It was about ensuring that Adam Benfield would never have the opportunity to hurt anyone again. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. Adam Benfield was found guilty of second-degree murder and 3 counts of endangering the welfare of children. They also convicted him on the additional charges of endangering the welfare of the children who had been forced to witness the horrific murder.
Criminal sentencing got heated this afternoon as Adam Benfield would learn the fate he faces for killing his estranged wife, Kiera Hudson, in front of their children.
I'm here because I don't want to be here. I'm forced to be here to fight to these charges.
All right, thank you. You're here because the jury
when I was talking.
convicted you of brutally killing your wife.
Interrupting me while I'm talking. I don't interrupt you, so why do you keep interrupting me? I know you're the judge, but this supposed to be due
hear me
process.
out. I've heard enough of this narcissistic. You're a narcissist, and I'm not going to put this
It
family
sounds like you're a
again.
narcissist because you're talking and you're going all.
Shut his microphone off,
Yes,
and if you
my
keep
phone.
talking, I'm going to do it without you. You'll be in there. I've heard enough from you. You, your wife, a jury of 12 convicted
A
you.
white jury that did not have any black jurors on there, and that's not law. That is a setup. So you want to send me out there, I go out there, but you know what the law is, and you haven't followed it. And neither has you, and neither has
All
you.
right.
Everybody sat here and
Hear me out. Shut up.
I'm not going to shut up. While
Get
you're
him out
talking.
of here.
Get me out of here. You don't have
I want to apologize.
We wanted to take you in the courtroom so you could see exactly what happened. Benefield was sentenced to the maximum 25 years to life behind bars for criminal contempt and endangering the welfare of children.
While the conviction was a bittersweet victory for Kiera's family, it didn't bring their beloved daughter back. The sentencing, however, would be another chance for the court to deliver some measure of justice. Adam was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, a sentence that many felt was too lenient given his brutality of his crime and his history of abuse. Kiera family members, devastated but resolute, felt that while the conviction was necessary, the fight was far from over. The sentence, though it ensured that Adam would be incarcerated for a long time, did not erase the damage he had caused. Kiera's children were left without their mother, and the ripple effects of this senseless tragedy would be felt for years. But Kiera's family did not stop at the conviction. They were determined to hold not only Adam Benfield accountable for his actions, but also to hold the justice system accountable for failing to protect Kiera. They filed a lawsuit against the town of Cheektowaga and its police department, accusing them of failing to properly charge Adam after Kiera had come forward with video evidence of his abuse. The lawsuit argued that the systemic failures in the handling of Adam's prior charges, combined with the lack of urgency in responding to Kiera's warnings, directly contributed to her death, and also failing to properly charge Benfield and keep him behind bars. The family's lawsuit highlighted the tragic irony of Kiera's death. She had done everything the system told her to do. She had gone to the police, she had provided the evidence, and she had taken legal action to protect herself and her children, and yet none of it was enough to save her life. Kiera's family continued to advocate for change in the wake of her death. They spoke out about the failure of the bail reform laws that allowed Adam to be released despite his violent criminal history. They called for changes that would allow judges the discretion to keep violent offenders in jail without the possibility of bail.
This is just crazy because a lot of domestic violence been going on, especially with females, and the police are not doing anything. The courts are not doing anything.
Montasia Jeter says the system failed her sister, Kiera Hudson. Kiera was in front of her 3 children Wednesday morning. Jeter says Hudson was in an abusive relationship with her husband, Adam Benefield, who has a lengthy criminal record. His most recent arrest, Tuesday, he was arraigned and released.
They knew that this man was a criminal. They should have never let him out in the first place.
Andrew Hodge is the victim's ex-boyfriend and father of one of the kids in the SUV the day Hudson was. Hudson's family believes bail reform is to blame. I spoke with New York State Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who is a strong supporter of bail reform.
At the end of the day, bail reform is about not incarcerating people prior to a trial. And there's a lot of things they could have done with that gentleman besides let him go.
But the clerk for the Cheektowaga judge that did let him go tells our I-team Judge James Spire's hands were tied because of bail reform, saying the charges, all misdemeanors, were non-qualifying offenses. The victim's family says they won't stop until justice is served. They say there were numerous warning signs, including a video posted on social media appearing to show Kiera being physically abused.
She just bought a bulletproof vest 2 days ago, posted it on Facebook.
And she took a picture in it last night and said, if this isn't a cry for help, I don't know what is. Buffalo Police Department. Nobody did anything. Nobody has been doing anything.
And now she mentioned the police. Now the captain of the Cheektowaga Police Department speaking moments ago saying his officers did all they could legally. He says a domestic violence advocate was working with Hudson. He also said it is quote, frustrating when you try, you have so many steps in place and you know somebody is in danger. You know there's a clear and present danger, yet the court has no option but to let this person back out into our community, end quote.
As the years passed, the Kiera family held on to the hope that change was possible. They knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but they were determined to continue their fight. Kiera's 3 children, now growing up without their mother, would carry on her legacy of strength, resilience, and the pursuit of justice. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.